Hi, this is Mark Hall, Area Specification Manager for Rainbird. This is our Smart Tree webinar for more than one way to irrigate a tree. We'll discuss the pros and cons of 5 different ways to irrigate a tree. Easy quiz for $100. At the end of my presentation, there'll be 3 questions. First, to email me answers to mahal@rainbird.com wins 4 $25 Amazon gift certificates for your office. This is our smart tree. Yes, there is more than one way to irrigate a tree. In fact, there's many ways. You could use a hose, point source and bubblers, spirals with drip line, rings with drip line, and even our RWS, the root watering system. Let's talk about irrigating with a hose. Advantages: easy to operate, familiar. Disadvantages: typically not automated, uneven watering, and various flow rates. This is a drawing of our point source drip irrigation detail. Point source irrigation, just another way to irrigate trees and shrubs. I'm going to demonstrate how we do that. Well, first we have to have the right parts. We have 1/2 inch poly, we have 1/4 inch poly, we have a stake, we have emitters, and these are at 1 gallon per hour, 1/2 gallon per hour, and 2 gallons per hour. Zeramin tool, that will help us install the emitters, and a bug cap. So let's go ahead and install our 1/2 gallon per hour. Got to make sure you put it in the right way, the blue section or the color down. Keep your hand back, twist and push. Put that down. We're done with that part of the installation. Now we take our 1/4 inch, put it on this side of the emitter. Then we take our stake. The stake has an arrow on it. It just tells you which direction to go, because what we want to do is we want to go to our bug cap. The bug cap will keep bugs from getting inside, like earwigs, that type of thing. And now we're ready to go. So if we want to irrigate this tree over here, we can simply have this 1/2 inch poly water line, and then you can see on the top of the stake there's a place to hammer. And there you have it, point source irrigation. Well, what's the advantage of using point source irrigation? Low cost could be one of them, easy to install. Some of the disadvantages are it's also easy to vandalize. There could be a tripping hazard or a liability. Can be high maintenance. There's another way to irrigate trees, and that's with bubblers. We have bubblers on pop-ups, we have bubblers on risers. We have different flow rates. We have higher flow rates in gallons per minute, and we have lower flow rates in gallons per hour. Here is extra durable drip system. This has a bubbler on the end of our SPX Flex swing pipe. Here's an example on irrigating trees on a slope. This is our extra durable drip system detail. A lot of people ask about bubblers, and they want a bulletproof design. Maybe they don't want to use drip line. Maybe they don't want to use 1/4 inch poly. But on here we have, this is a SPX poly tubing, and you can see the thickness. It's really thick. It's very durable. This will take a shovel fairly well. You'll see the fittings. The fittings are actually spiral barbs, and they twist into here. You cannot get those off. This is an insert fitting. We take this particular bubbler, and this bubbler is at 5 gallons per hour. Just put this on, and that's about it. And then we just can put this down next to the tree. Now, if we want more different, we want other flow rates, we actually have some other flow rates. We have a purple one that's a 0.7 gallon per hour. It actually has a little purple dot. And then we have a green one that is 10 gallons per hour. That's our bubbler. Extra durable drip system. Advantages: very difficult to vandalize. Thick-walled SPX tubing makes it bulletproof, almost shovel-proof. Low flow bubblers for deep watering options. Disadvantages: challenging to install, labor intensive, and bubblers can cause erosion. We can also make spirals with our drip line to irrigate trees. A spiral design for irrigating trees. You'll see that this is about 9 inches apart. We can actually place this at 12, 18 inches, or whatever that you need as far as the width goes. The farther apart, probably the longer run time that you're going to have. You probably need to know what drip line is to start with. And each of these drip lines, you'll see there's actually an emitter inside, and they're at every 12 or 18 inches on center. The flow rate on these is 0.4, 0.6, and 0.9 gallon per hour. You also see a copper chip, and that's for root intrusion. On the other side, we have a check valve, and that holds back 10 feet of water. Why is a check valve important? Because when you have a slope like this, or even the small slope, or even flat, there's a couple reasons. One, you don't need an air relief valve. Two, you're not going to have low emitter drainage. So let's see where this system starts. Everything starts at the control zone kit. We have a valve, we have a filter with an indicator. If it's red, it means that it needs to be clean. And then we have a regulator. Water comes up through here, around, and in this case, again, we're using 9-inch spacing, and we go around in multiple circles, and then we end up with a flush valve. Always want to have a flush valve. Normally, this is going to be actually in the closed position, but once a year, you want to flush the system. Or if you get debris in the system, you can flush it right now if there happens to be a cut. Over here, we have our indicator stake. The indicator stake, it pops up 6 inches. What that does, it lets us know that the system is running, and this pops up at 20 psi. The emitters actually open at about 15 psi. What's another advantage of having a spiral is you don't need many fittings. You literally could do this with maybe 4 or 5 fittings for one tree, where other designs you may have to do 15 or 20 fittings to make it work. So it's going to be a little bit less expensive. Another advantage to the spiral system is that it's expandable. So if this was 9 inches on center, we could expand this double, and we can actually have this a foot on center. So as the tree grows, the drip line can grow. And all we have to do is just use usually the existing stakes, or we might have to use a few new ones. One other disadvantage of this system is if there's a kink, especially if there's a kink at the beginning of the system. Because if we have a kink here, what's going to happen to the rest is we will not get water to any of the emitters on the tree. And that's when we want to use just a standard double or triple ring system. Again, this is the spiral. Spirals with drip line. Advantages: fast and easy installation with a minimum amount of fittings. Even water distribution. Expandability of spirals as tree continues to grow. Disadvantages: limited to no water when there's a pinch at the start of the spiral. Typically requires 1 flush valve per tree. Difficult to trench a spiral shape. We can use drip line rings to irrigate trees. It could be 2 rings or 3 ring configurations. If we have multiple trees, we could use an end-to-end design for low flow conditions. If we have higher flow conditions, we can use a side fed that will actually have 3 flush points. Or we could use a dual side ring with drip line design, and that will only use 1 flush valve. is our 3-ring drip line for irrigating trees. Now we have a couple types of drip line. This particular one is called XFS-CV. It has a copper chip in each emitter that goes inside this drip line at every 12 or 18 inches on center. Now this has the copper chip, prevents root intrusion. If you bury this and there's roots that are trying to get into these emitters, it'll actually keep the roots from growing in. We also have a check valve. The great thing about a check valve is you turn on the system or turn it off, every single emitter goes on or off at the same time. Also, if there's any slope like we have here, there's no low emitter drainage, which is phenomenal because it saves water. The other thing that you may not know, but here is an air relief valve. If you don't have emitters with check valves, you will have to use an air relief valve, which will also be in a valve box. That's expensive. This system does not need one. All we need to run this system is we have a control zone kit. This has a valve, a filter, an indicator, and here is a regulator. We have to have those 3 things to run a drip system, and we could run many of these systems for several different trees with just one of those control zone kits. Now this dark brown tubing actually has no emitters in it at all. We really do not need emitters in these sections. This is called a supply header because it supplies the water to the system. When it comes around here, we have something called an exhaust header. The exhaust header right here is where we can flush. Now you don't need to flush all the time. You probably just flush maybe about once a year, maybe even once in 2 years, or if you get a cut in the line, you may want to flush because you'll get debris in there. Now another advantage to doing this 3-ring system with a supply header and an exhaust header is if you get a pinch in this strip line, even several pinches, because it's a loop, everything will still water appropriately. Big advantage on this. Now I'm going to give you a little idea on how do you put this together. Well, we have staples, and we actually have a piece of drip line cut at about, you could use PVC, be a little straighter, cut at about 18 inches. So that gives us, without even using a measuring tape, an exact place to put it. And like it was there, if the soil is too hard, we just move it to another location, and hopefully it's not the same thing. So we're just going to keep moving along here quickly. Again, we want to get this done so we have minimum installation time. And you just keep backing up. That's the way this works. You get your 18 inches, back up. Rubber mallet works great. There are other tools and hammers, but this does probably the best job. Now we also have a coil. This is a 500-foot coil of drip line. It's self-dispensing, which means we can take drip line out or we can put it back in. Very handy. Most drip line is not made with a self-dispensing feature. Drip line coil. So we'll keep bringing this in, and we're going to get to a cross fitting right here. Now you do need some cutters. Watch where the emitter is, because if you get the emitter right there, you're not going to be able to put this together. So we'll cut this in the right location, and then really to get this on, it's just a rocking motion. That's all it is. And we got that together. So here we have our triple ring, 3-ring and it's all set up to go and run. All we need to have is a little water. This indicator stake is typically placed on the end of the system, whether it be one tree or 3 trees. You're only going to need one of these depending on the design. With this, you'll just take this barb and you'll put it in to the drip line. This will pop up 6 inches to indicate that the system is working. And the reason that this pops up at 20 psi is because it only takes 15 psi for the emitters to work. Again, this is an indicator stake that should be part of every system. Rings with drip line. Advantages: easy to duplicate ring spacing, even water distribution, superior flushing capabilities, even water distribution, and even with several pinches and rings still operates. Many layout options for high, low, and medium flows. Disadvantages: more fittings and cutting than spirals. This is our RWS root watering system. There are several different types of RWS units. There's a 36-inch, 18-inch, and 10-inch for shrubs. Now we will take a look at how to install and how to design a root watering system.
The Rainbird root watering system effectively delivers water, air, and nutrients to the root system of trees and shrubs. It easily connects to irrigation lateral lines or can be installed in drip zones. Specifying the RWS on irrigation plans is quick and easy. First, place the RWS units and connect them to your irrigation system. Next, assign a detail in the Irrigation Manager. Irrigation contractors can reference the details and see exactly how the RWS should be installed. The RWS is available in 3 sizes: 36 inches for large to medium-sized trees, 18 inches for small trees and large shrubs, and 10 inches for smaller shrubs and trees. For existing trees, position units evenly spaced half the distance between the tree trunk and the edge of the tree canopy. For large to medium-sized trees, use 3 or more RWS units. For small trees and large shrubs, use 2 RWS-M units. For large to medium-sized trees, equally space the RWS units around the root ball, with no more than 30 inches between them. For existing trees or shrubs, use a 1 or 2-man auger to drill holes where the units are needed, and make sure the holes are slightly larger and deeper than the RWS unit. Integrated polyethylene swing assembly and spiral barb fittings connect to PVC and PE pipes. For extremely hard or clay soils, consider adding 3/4 inch pea gravel beneath the unit to help with water distribution.
RWS, our root watering system. Advantages: excellent for establishment and deep watering. High and low flow bubbler options. Assist in soil aeration. Vandal resistant. Eliminates tripping hazard, bulletproof design. Disadvantages: may need to add ring or spirals for more surface watering. Okay, that should give you a few more options to irrigate trees, and we do have standard legends in DWG and PDF formats for you to use. Future active webinars. We have 3 of them: rotating nozzles, pumps, smart controllers. Please remember at least one of these for our upcoming quiz. Here is our quiz for up to $100 or $25 per person per office. Name your favorite smart tree way to irrigate. You can't lose on this one. When should you use a flush valve? A, spiral method, B, ring method, or C, both methods? And then name one of our future webinars. If you can, email that to me as quickly as possible to mahall@rainbird.com. If you'd like a copy or a link to this video, please just email me that request. Thank you again. Thanks for listening.